The gravel crunched under my sneakers like shattered glass as I sprinted the final lap, my lungs burning, the floodlights of Lincoln High's track flickering on just as the sun dipped below the Iowa cornfields. I collapsed against the chain-link fence, gasping, when I heard his voice, low, ragged, like it had been holding back a storm. "Alex, wait, I can't run anymore. Not from this." And then, in the heavy silence that followed, my stepbrother Jake dropped to his knees right there on the red rubber, tears carving tracks through the sweat on his face, and whispered words that ripped the world open. "I'm in love with you, and I've been dying keeping it buried." That moment on the track wasn't just the end of a practice run. It was the detonation of everything I'd built my life around. Family, football dreams, the straight-A facade that kept the whispers at bay in our small-town hellhole of Des Moines. Jake and I had been thrown together 3 years ago when my mom married his dad. A hasty union after my real dad bailed and his mom passed from cancer. We were 15 then, awkward as hell, sharing a cramped ranch house on the edge of suburbia where the biggest drama was whose turn it was to mow the lawn. But track? That was our sanctuary. I lettered in sprints, he dominated distance. 2 wild-haired brothers in Eagles red, pounding the oval like it could outrun our fractured home. I stared at him that evening, the air thick with the scent of fresh-cut grass and distant barbecue smoke from some neighbor's backyard ritual. My heart hammered harder than during the relay handoff. "What the fuck, Jake?" I finally choked out, sliding down the fence to sit beside him, our shoulders brushing in that accidental way that suddenly felt electric. He wouldn't look at me, just clutched his knees, his runner's build coiled tight like a spring about to snap. I'd seen him like this once before, last summer, after Coach Harlan pulled him aside post-meet, muttering about focus and distractions. I'd chalked it up to burnout, the pressure of state qualifiers looming like storm clouds over the Mississippi. But now, those 3 words, "I'm in love with you," hung between us, heavier than the championship medal I'd won freshman year. Love? From Jake? The guy who'd blast Springsteen on road trips, teach me how to fix a flat on my beat-up Chevy, and sneak me beers from his dad's fridge during those endless Midwest winters? We joked about girls, me with Sarah from Chem Lab, him dodging questions about prom dates. But it was all surface, like skimming stones across the frozen ponds behind our house. Deep down, I knew something simmered unspoken, in the way his eyes lingered a beat too long when I changed in the locker room, or how he'd freeze mid-laugh at my dumb jokes, like he was memorizing the sound. I reached out, hesitant, my hand hovering over his. "Dude, get up." Someone could see. The track was empty. Sure. Practice had wrapped an hour ago, and the janitor's golf cart rumbled faintly from the parking lot. But paranoia clawed at me. In Des Moines, you didn't air laundry like this, especially not when your stepdad was the fire chief who quoted Bible verses at dinner, and your mom baked apple pies for the PDA like it could glue our mismatched family together. Jake's head snapped up, eyes red-rimmed and fierce. "See what, Alex? That I'm not who everyone thinks? That I've been faking it since Mom died. Since Dad married your mom and I had to pretend to be the perfect straight son, so he wouldn't look at me like I'm broken." His voice cracked on broken, and it hit me like a baton drop. How long had he been carrying this alone? We'd shared a room until last year. Bunk beds turned king when we outgrew the creeks, and I'd wake to him tossing, murmuring in his sleep about shadows chasing him down empty roads. I'd tease him about nightmares from too many horror flicks, but now it clicked. The isolation, the way he'd vanish into runs at dawn, pushing miles until his quads screamed. I pulled him up, our arms linking in that half-hug we'd perfected for family photos. But this time I didn't let go right away. "You're not broken, man. You're Jake. My Jake." The words tumbled out, clumsy, but they felt true, stirring something warm and terrifying in my chest. We walked the perimeter that night, the floodlights casting long shadows like fingers reaching for secrets. He spilled it all in fragments. The confusion starting in middle school, the stolen glances at teammates in the showers, the terror of his first crush on a summer camp counselor who looked like a young Chris Evans. I tried, Alex. God, I tried. Dated Emily last year, but every kiss felt like choking on gravel. He kicked at a loose pebble, sending it skittering into the infield grass. "And you've always been there, solid as that fence, laughing at my shitty jokes, covering for me when Dad grills me about grades. I didn't mean to fall. It just happened. On those drives to meets, when you'd crank the radio and sing off-key. Or that time we fixed the truck in the rain, soaked to the bone, and you said we were unbreakable. Unbreakable. Yeah, that was us, or so I'd thought. My mind raced, piecing together the puzzle. The extra protein shakes he'd leave on my nightstand, labeled for the sprinter. The way he'd linger after races to watch me cool down, towel slung over his shoulder like a shield. I'd felt it too, that pull, but I'd buried it under layers of denial, telling myself it was brotherly bond, nothing more. Because in America's heartland, where pickup trucks ruled and Friday nights meant bonfires and beer pong, loving like this? It was a grenade with the pin half pulled. By the time we reached the bleachers, the sky had bruised purple, stars pricking through like hesitant confessions. I stopped, turning to face him fully. Jake, I don't know what this means. For us, for everything. Honesty burned my throat. I'd kissed Sarah last week at the diner, her cherry lip gloss tasting like regret, my mind drifting to the curve of his jaw during warm-ups. He nodded, slow, like he'd expected the dodge. I know. Just don't hate me. That's all I need. Hate him? The thought twisted like a sprained ankle. Instead, I pulled him into a real hug, fierce and unyielding, our hearts sinking to the same frantic rhythm. Never, I whispered into his hair, the scent of sweat and cedar shampoo grounding me. We're in this lap together now. That hug lingered too long, shifting from comfort to something charged, our breaths mingling in the cooling air. When we finally broke apart, his fingers brushed mine. Accidental? Intentional? And a spark jumped, lighting up nerves I didn't know I had. We drove home in silence, windows down, the radio humming low with Tom Petty's Learning to Fly. Dad was at the station, Mom at her night shift at the hospital, leaving the house echoing empty. We raided the fridge for leftovers, cold pizza and Dr. Pepper, collapsing on the couch for a mindless binge of Friday Night Lights, Coach Taylor's gravelly wisdom a ironic backdrop. But every laugh felt loaded, every glance a question mark. Halfway through the episode, Jake muted the TV, turning to me with that runner's intensity. What if we just... See? No labels, no big announcements. Just us, figuring it out on the down low. His proposal hung there, simple as a training plan but laced with risk. I thought of the team, guys like Brody, the quarterback with his homophobic rants after losses, or Tyler, who'd once joked about fairy sprinters during drills. Exposure could torch my scholarship dreams, derail Jake's shot at a D1 distance program. But looking at him, vulnerability etched in the lines around his eyes, I couldn't say no. Yeah, I murmured, scooting closer until our thighs pressed, heat seeping through denim. Let's run this race. What followed was a summer of stolen moments, fragile as fireflies in jars. Mornings before dawn, we'd hit the track, not for speed work but for the quiet thrill of hands grazing during stretches, lips brushing in the shadow of the equipment shed. Afternoons blurred into lazy drives through the rolling fields, windows fogged from shared breaths and tentative kisses that tasted like freedom and fear. Jake's laugh came easier, his runs looser, like he'd shed invisible weights. For me, it was discovery. The way his touch unraveled me, not with fireworks but a steady glow, warming the hollows I'd ignored. But secrets in a town like Des Moines? They fester like untreated blisters. It started small. Mom noticing how we lingered in the garage, bonding over oil changes that stretched hours. Dad grumbling about too much brother time. His Bible study group feeding suspicions. Then school ramped up, senior year crashing in like a poorly timed starter's gun. Practice intensified, Coach Harlan barking orders under the relentless August sun. His whistle a harbinger of the state meet in 2 months. Jake and I navigated it like a relay, past the baton clean, eyes forward, but the strain showed. I'd catch him staring during water breaks, a soft smile he'd mask with a cough, and it'd send my pulse spiking, distractions coach would chew me out for. One evening, after a brutal interval set, Tyler sidled up in the locker room, towel snapping like a warning shot. You two are thick as thieves lately, huh? What's the deal? Stepbro code or some gay-ass bromance. The word landed like a spike strip, casual cruelty wrapped in locker room banter. I laughed it off, shoving him playfully, but inside, panic clawed. Jake, lacing his shoes across the bench, went still, color draining from his face. That night, over takeout burgers in my truck parked by the river, he confronted it head-on. "We can't keep dancing around this, Alex. It's eating me alive." I gripped the wheel, knuckles white. "Then what? Tell the world and watch it burn? Dad would disown you. Mom, she'd shatter." His silence stretched, heavy as the humid air rolling off the water. Finally, he leaned over, cupping my face with hands that trembled just a fraction. "I don't care about them right now. I care about us." Our kiss that night was deeper, urgent, the dashboard clock ticking like a countdown. But as fireflies danced outside, doubt crept in. What if this love was just a false start, doomed to DNF? The first cracks spiderwebbed through our fragile normalcy 2 weeks later, during homecoming week chaos. Banners fluttered from the flagpole, the gym pulsing with pep rally fever, and the air buzzed with that electric senior year high, until Brody cornered me after algebra. His Letterman jacket straining over broad shoulders, eyes narrowed like he'd spotted a fumble. "Heard some shit about you and Jake. Tyler says you guys are, weird close. Like, fairy weird." He spat the slur low, but it echoed in my skull. Venom from a teammate I'd bled on the field with. I shoved past him, slamming my locker hard enough to dent the metal, heart jackhammering. "Mind your own plays, Brody." But the seed was planted, whispers slithering through the halls like smoke from a tailpipe. Jake felt it too, his easy grin faltering in the cafeteria, shoulders hunching under the weight of stares. We doubled down on discretion. Coded texts, track at 6. Excuses for late nights, studying for bio, and touches rationed like water stations on a marathon. Yet in those hidden pockets our world bloomed. One crisp October afternoon, we ditched the last bell for the old quarry outside town, a jagged scar in the earth where rusted machinery loomed like forgotten sentinels. We swam in the icy pool below, clothes discarded on sun-warmed rocks, bodies cutting through water that shocked clarity into us. Emerging, dripping, Jake pulled me close, our skin chilled but alive. "This is worth it," he murmured against my collarbone, lips tracing a path that made my knees buckle. We talked dreams then, his for the freedom of a college campus in California, mine for a coaching gig that'd keep me rooted in the heartland but on my terms. "We'll make it," I promised, tracing the freckles across his nose, a constellation I'd mapped in stolen glances. Laughter bubbled up, pure and defiant, as we raced back to shore, splashing like kids chasing fireflies. Home was the minefield. Dad's shifts grew erratic, his mood souring with the election cycle. Trump posters sprouting in yards like weeds, fueling his rants about traditional values. Mom, ever the peacemaker, floated through on chamomile tea and forced smiles, but her eyes lingered, questioning. One dinner, as forks scraped plates of meatloaf and mashed potatoes, she broached it gently. "You boys seem closer lately. Everything okay?" Jake's fork paused midair, gravy dripping like blood. I jumped in, smooth as a handoff. "Just team stuff, Mom. Pushing for states." Dad grunted approval, oblivious, but Jake's foot nudged mine under the table. A silent thank you, a tether. The real fracture hit mid-November, frost glazing the track like shattered ice. We'd qualified for states, a double podium dream, me in the 400, him in the 5K, but pressure mounted like storm fronts. Coach added hill repeats, our legs screaming up the levee paths along the Des Moines River, where cottonwoods shed gold leaves like confetti for ghosts. Post-run, alone in the trainer's trailer, Jake broke. I saw Tyler texting someone, a photo of us at the quarry. Blurry, but us. My stomach plummeted. The kiss? The race? Panic surged, hot and metallic. How? We were careful. He paced the cramped space, fluorescent buzz overhead mocking us. Doesn't matter if it spreads. His voice trailed, eyes glassy. Betrayal stung sharper than any cramp. Tyler, our relay anchor, who'd high-fived us after every PR. Why? Jealousy? Some twisted loyalty to the team's macho code? I grabbed Jake's arm, grounding us both. We'll deny it. Laugh it off. It's nothing. But doubt gnawed. In a town where the biggest scandal was the mayor's DUI, this could unravel everything. That weekend, the storm broke. Saturday morning, Dad stormed into the kitchen. Phone clutched like a grenade. Face thunderous. What the hell is this? He thrust it at me. A screenshot circulating in the team group chat. Jake and me mid-splash at the quarry. Arms wrapped, frozen in a frame that screamed intimacy. Jake, descending the stairs in sweats, froze on the landing, color fleeing his face. Mom gasped from the sink, dish towel twisting in her hands. Boys! Her voice quavered, bridging confusion and dread. Dad's roar filled the room. This some kind of joke? Goddammit, Jake. I raised you better. He advanced, veins bulging. The man who taught us to fish and fix engines now a stranger. Bible-thumping fury ignited. Jake backed against the wall, whispering, Dad, please. But the plea shattered against the tirade. You're my son. Not this sickness. The slur landed like a slap, and something in me snapped. I stepped between them, fists balled. Stop. It's not sickness. It's us. We're in love. The confession exploded, raw and unpracticed, hanging in the smoke of burnt toast. Silence crashed down, heavier than winter snow. Mom sobbed quietly, Dad's chest heaving like he'd run a marathon. Jake's eyes met mine, wide with a mix of terror and gratitude. His hand finding my back, a silent anchor. Dad stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled, tires screeching gravel as he peeled away. Mom collapsed into a chair, whispering, How long? Why didn't you tell me? We sat then, the three of us, unraveling the knot in halting words. Jake's isolation since his mom's death. My fear of losing the family we'd stitched together. No hugs, no absolution. Just the ache of truth laid bare. By evening, the house felt hollow. Dad crashing at the station. Mom retreating to her room with migraine pills. Jake and I barricaded in the garage, surrounded by toolboxes and the half-tuned Chevy. Air thick with oil and unspoken what-ifs. You didn't have to say it, he murmured, head on my shoulder. Our fingers laced on the workbench. Yeah, I did. I tilted his chin up, kissing him soft and sure, a vow amid the wreckage. We're not hiding anymore. Not from this. But betrayal's echo lingered. Monday at school, the stairs hit like crosswinds. Whispers in the halls, Tyler avoiding my glare in the lot, Brody's smirk a knife twist. Coach pulled us aside post-practice, face etched with discomfort. Rumors, boys. Focus on the meat, or you're benched. We nodded, jaws set, channeling the hurt into strides that blurred the lines. That night, alone on the track under a harvest moon, Jake collapsed into my arms after a solo lap, sobs racking him. I can't lose you. Not to this. I held him tighter, stars wheeling above like indifferent witnesses. You won't. We're gold medal tough. Yet the fracture deepened. Dad returned midweek, stony silence his weapon, meals eaten in separate rooms. Mom mediated in whispers, her love a fragile bridge. He's scared, Jake. Give him time. But time felt like sand slipping through spikes. Jake withdrew, runs turning punishing, his once bright eyes shadowed. I fought back with gestures. Notes in his locker. Lap with me forever. Playlists of Bon Iver ballads that mirrored our ache. One frozen dawn. As flurries dusted the infield, we ran side by side, breaths clouding in sync. States is our shot, I panted, to prove we're more than whispers. He squeezed my hand at the turn, a promise etched in frost. Homecoming dance loomed, a glittering trap. Sarah cornered me in the hall, eyes hurt. Is it true? About you and Jake? I nodded, chin up, the weight lifting slightly with honesty. She hugged me fierce. Be happy, Alex. You deserve it. Jake went stag, me too, but we met after in the parking lot, slow dancing under street lamps to phantom music. His head on my shoulder, world shrinking to us. This is home, he breathed, and for a heartbeat, it was. until tires crunched, headlights pinning us like suspects. Dad, emerging from his cruiser, face a mask of devastation. Get in the car, Jake. Now. No yell, just hollow command. Jake clung to me a second longer, terror flashing, before obeying. I followed, pleading, Dad, talk to us. The drive home was a tomb, silence screaming. At the house, he faced Jake in the living room, Mom hovering like a ghost. You're moving. To Aunt Linda's in Omaha. Tomorrow. Jake's world imploded. No, Dad, please. This is my home. Alex is. Dad cut him off, voice cracking for the first time. You made your choice. I won't have this. Destroying us.
Destruction.
The word gutted me. As Jake packed that night, duffels bulging with hoodies and track spikes, we stole moments in his room. Kisses desperate as goodbyes, promises scrawled on notebook paper. I'll run back to you. Dawn broke gray, taillights fading down the drive, taking half my heart. School blurred into numbness, practices mechanical, the team fracturing, Tyler apologizing in tears. I was scared. Man. Brody ghosting. Mom's hugs turned fierce, her quiet support a lifeline. Love doesn't break families. Fear does. States approached, a beacon in the blizzard. I qualified solo. Jake scratched from afar, his texts a lifeline. Proud of you. Run for us. The prelims and aims hit like a gut punch. Crowd roaring. But every stride echoed his absence. Semifinals. I faltered, cramps seizing like grief. But coach's voice cut through. For the ones who believe in you. Gold gleamed on the podium, but it tasted hollow, metal heavy around my neck. Backstage, my phone buzzed. Jake. You did it. I love you. Always. Winter gripped Des Moines, snow blanketing the track in white silence. Holidays passed in strained pageantry. Thanksgiving at Aunt Linda's. Jake across the table, Dad's eyes averted. But cracks softened. A nod during pie, a gruff good race from Dad after clips aired on local news. Mom orchestrated calls, her optimism a hearth fire. New Year's, Jake and I met secretly at the quarry, bundled against the bite, sharing champagne from thermoses. Omaha's not forever, he vowed, mittened hands in mine. I'll transfer back spring. We fight this. Spring thaw brought green shoots, hope's tentative green. Jake returned for a track invitational. Dad's reluctant okay a truce flag. Reunion on the infield was electric. His hug lifted me off the ground. Whispers fierce. Missed this. Missed you. We placed high, synergy reborn. But post-race, Dad watched from the stands, expression unreadable. Dinner that night was the pivot. Awkward forks. Then Jake's quiet. Dad. I get it. You're scared of losing me like Mom. But pushing me away? That's the real loss. Silence stretched, then Dad's sigh. Broken. I just wanted normal for you. Jake reached across. This is my normal. With Alex. Tears tracked Dad's weathered cheeks. Mom's hand on his. My throat tightened as Dad met my eyes. You too, son. If this is. You. Not full embrace, but a door cracked. Summer bloomed slow, healing in increments. Family runs at dawn. Dad's questions tentative, Mom's pride blooming. Jake and I, unbreakable now, planned futures intertwined. Shared apartment near campus, runs under California suns. Yet the humanistic ache lingered. Not fairy tale tidy, but real, scarred. Betrayal taught forgiveness. Tyler's redemption in quiet apologies. Conflict forged resilience. On our track, under endless skies, we ran not from shadows, but toward light. Two hearts synced, pounding a rhythm of love's defiant grace. The summer after states melted into a haze of fireflies and freedom, but the real race was the one inside our heads. The marathon of mending what betrayal had torn. Dad's truce held, fragile as eggshell, built on Sunday barbecues where he'd grill brats and lob softball questions. How's Omaha treating you, son? Jake would answer, even voice steady, while I'd flip burgers, sweat beading under the relentless July sun, stealing glances that said, we're winning this. Mom orchestrated it all. Her hospital scrubs swapped for sundresses, laughter coaxing blooms from cracked soil. Aunt Linda's visits bridged the gap, her no-nonsense wisdom. Family's not blood, it's backbone. A mantra we clung to, but Tyler's ghost haunted. He'd transferred schools mid-semester, whispers of guilt driving him to counseling. His apology texts a barrage I mostly deleted. One sticky August evening, as cicadas droned the levee path, he appeared at the track. Leaned against the fence in faded Eagles gear, eyes downcast like a penitent. "Alex, can we talk?" Jake tensed beside me, mid-stretch, but I nodded, waving him off to cool down. Alone under the sagging chain link, Tyler spilled, "I didn't mean for it to blow up. Sent the pic to Brody as a joke. Thought it'd toughen you guys up or some bullshit. Then it spread. I'm sorry. For real." His voice cracked, boyish regret clashing with the man he'd become. I wanted to deck him, feel knuckles split on jaw, but the fight drained out, leaving pity. "You almost broke us, Ty." Jake's family shipped him off like cargo. "That's not a joke." He nodded, tears tracking dust-streaked cheeks. "I know. Been seeing a therapist, figuring my own crap. Dad's the same as yours, all man-up sermons. Made me lash out." We stood there, two jocks forged in the same fire, bridges burning slow. "Forgive?" he asked, tentative. "Not yet, but a nod. Work for it. Show up." He did, volunteering at youth track camps, mentoring kids with his easy grin, redemption etched in every high five. Jake watched from afar, arms crossed, but softened over time. "People change," he said one night, tangled in sheets on my twin bed, fan whirring lazy overhead. His fingers traced lazy circles on my chest, grounding me in the now. "Like Dad." "Yeah, Dad." The man who'd once thundered scriptures now slipped articles under doors. "Understanding your gay kid." His way of learning without lectures. One fishing trip, rods casting into the muddy Raccoon River, he cleared his throat. "Proud of you boys. Both. Gruff but gold." I reeled in a crappy, heart swelling, Jake's whoop echoing across water. College loomed, a double-edged sword. I landed a partial ride at Iowa State for track and kinesiology, dreams of coaching simmering. Jake, scouted by a smaller D2 in Nebraska, wrestled distance from Dad's shadow. "Close enough for weekends." He grinned over ice cream at the Dairy Queen drive-in, cones dripping like summer secrets. But separation gnawed. Late-night calls where static crackled his voice. Visits squeezed between syllabi and sprints. Fall semester hit like a qualifier heat. Dorm life a whirlwind of keggers and cram sessions, but every party paled without his laugh cutting through. Freshman orientation week, I met Ryan. Lithe swimmer with a surfer drawl from Cali, easy charm masking his own closets. We bonded over protein shakes in the rec center, his stories of beach bonfires pulling me in. "You're tense, dude. Loosen up." His hand on my shoulder lingered, familiar spark, but wrong. Guilt twisted as I pulled away, texting Jake. "Miss you. Party sucks." His reply, ditto. "Run tomorrow." We did neutral ground at a park straddling Ames and Lincoln, miles melting tension. His kiss at the finish line erasing doubts. But conflict brewed back home. Thanksgiving brought Dad's promotion to battalion chief. Celebrations laced with toasts to new chapters. Yet under turkey and cranberry, old fissures pulsed. Aunt Linda, tipsy on Merlot, cornered Jake. "Your father's trying, but pride's a stubborn mule. Don't push too hard." Wise, but it chafed. Jake's fire flaring in quiet arguments after. "I'm not the problem here." I'd mediate, hands on his shoulders. "Breathe, we're lapping this." Mom's eyes, weary from double shifts, pleaded for peace. Winter break escalated the stakes. Snow blanketed Des Moines in hush, holiday lights twinkling like hesitant stars. Jake and I stole a night at the old quarry, thermos of cocoa steaming between us on a plaid blanket, constellations wheeling cold and clear. "Marry me someday?" he murmured, half joking. Ring from his mom's old jewelry glinting in moonlight. I laughed, pulling him close. "When we're old and creaky, yeah. Gold bands and track weddings." Tenderness swelled, but reality intruded. Dad's cruiser idling at the road's edge, headlights piercing dark like accusation. He'd followed us. Thought I raised you smarter, he barked, emerging bundled in wool. Face a storm front. Jake scrambled up, defiant. We're not kids, Dad. This is us. The argument erupted, voices echoing off rock walls. Dad's fears spilling. World's cruel to your kind. Lost your mom. Can't lose you to hate. Heartbreaking, his love warped by terror. I stepped in, voice steady. Then fight with us, not against. He deflated, snow-dusting epaulets. A nod, the only concession. Drive home was silent, but his hand on Jake's knee at a stoplight? A milestone. Spring semester ramp tension. Jake's meets clashed with mine. Weekends a blur of highways and hotel lobbies. Anonymous comforts where we'd collapse, limbs entwined, whispering futures. Coach says pro potential, he'd say, fingers in my hair. You too. Olympic trials? Dreams danced, but doubt shadowed. My grades slipping under homesickness. His shin splints flaring from overtraining. One rain-lashed relay in Kansas. I botched the exchange, team DQ'd, coach's disappointment a lash. Blaming Jake irrational, but it spilled in a diner booth. If you were there, he recoiled, hurt flashing. I'm trying, Alex. This distance. It's killing me. Betrayal revisited, not Tyler's but ours, trust frayed by miles. We patched with calls, but resentment simmered. May brought climax. Iowa High School All-Star Meet, Alumni Showcase. Jake invited, Dad attending as VIP, our stage to shine or shatter. Under stadium lights, rivals from across the state, air electric with stakes. Heat won. My 200, legs churning, crowd a roar, but mid-curve, cramp seized, vision tunneling. Jake's voice from the stands, breathe, Alex, pulled me through, tape breaking under my chest. Gold again, but hollow. His 10K next, pack thinning, final lap a war. He faltered 200 out, form crumbling, face ashen. I vaulted the barrier, ignoring whistles, reaching him as he crumpled. Breathe, I echoed, cradling his head, medics swarming. Dehydration, they said, but I knew pressure, the weight of eyes, Dad's, ours, the world's. Backstage, tears hot. Can't do this without you. He gripped my jersey. Then don't. Let's transfer, same school. Radical but right. Dad, hovering awkward, clapped Jake's back. Tough run, son. Proud anyway. Progress inch by inch. Summer healed. We petitioned transfers, Iowa State for Jake, dual enrollment dreams. Dad co-signed loans, grumbling but present. Mom beamed at joint lease signings. Quarry nights turned ritual, blankets and stargazing. Love deepening roots. One eclipse evening, total dark. Jake knelt. For real this time. Partners. Ring simple. Silver band engraved. Unbreakable. Yes tumbled out, joy bursting. Fall semester synced us. Dorm to apartment. Runs at dawn. Classes overlapping. Team welcomed Jake, wary then warm. Coaches nod approval. Tyler visited once. Full circle, high fives, no shadows. Holidays. Full table. Dad's toasts inclusive, laughter genuine. Betrayal scars faded to stories. Conflict to strength. Years blurred, graduations, jobs, me coaching high school, Jake physical therapy for runners. Des Moines our anchor, Quarry our chapel. Wedding small, trackside vows under Iowa sky, Dad walking Jake, tears proud. No by kitsch but human, love earned, messy, enduring. On our anniversary laps, hand in hand, I whisper, changed everything. He grins, best false start ever. Life post-college settled into a rhythm steadier than any interval set, but the dramatic undercurrents never fully stilled. They ebbed and flowed like the Des Moines River after spring rains, testing our stride. By 25, we'd carved a niche. My whistle echoing across Lincoln High fields, molding wide-eyed freshmen into competitors, while Jake's clinic bustled downtown, his gentle hands rehabbing athletes back from the brink. Our apartment overlooked the Capitol Dome, a cozy two-bedroom with track spikes by the door and framed medals on walls, testaments to battles won. Mornings started synced, coffee brewing as we stretched on the balcony, city waking below in honks and haze. But humanism's quiet drama unfolded in subtleties. Dad retired early, badge traded for fly rods, his evolution a slow burn. Bible study swapped sermons for ally meetings at the local PFLAG chapter, where he'd fumble words but show up, grizzled frame a beacon for scared dads like his old self. Learned late. He'd grunt over beers at our place. Jake's hand on his shoulder a bridge. Mom, promoted to charge nurse, swelled with stories of queer patients she'd advocate for. Her hugs fierce. You boys gave me courage. Aunt Linda, ever the sage, visited with pies and prods. Don't let complacency clip your wings. Yet conflict simmered external now. Society's pulse, erratic as a wild card heat. Iowa's winds carried whispers of progress. Same-sex marriage etched in law since 2015. But pockets resisted, church signs sneering, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Jake's clinic faced it head-on. A teen runner, outed by a coach, collapsing in session, shins bruised from punitive drills. He called me a distraction. The kid choked, and Jake's eyes met mine later, fire kindled. We fight this shit, Alex. We did. Testifying at school board meetings, my voice steady. These kids need tracks, not traps. Betrayal struck anew, insidious. Tyler, redemptive arc seemingly complete, landed a gig as assistant coach at a rival school. Reunion at a regional meet was cordial. Slaps on backs, nostalgia over Gatorade. But whispers reached us. He'd leaked old stories to a podunk blogger sniffing for scandal. Nothing stuck, but the sting revived ghosts. Jake's sleep fractured by doubts. What if he never changed? What if we trust wrong? Nights, I'd hold him, murmuring against temple. We choose belief. It's our power. Therapy helped, couple sessions with a no-nonsense counselor who mapped our triggers like training logs, turning pain to protocol. Romance wove through, romantic in mundanity. Anniversaries marked with Corey picnics. Blankets spread under cottonwoods now thick with memory. One golden September, 5 years hit. We hiked the levee at dusk. Wild asters nodding purple heads. Jake stopped mid-path, backpack slung, pulling a thermos and 2 glasses. To lapse together, he toasted, eyes crinkling. But his free hand slipped a velvet box. Upgrades, gold bands etched with coordinates of our first confession. Kneeling in dirt. Ring glinting sunset. Forever. Tears blurred. Always was. Ceremony small, intimate, track oval cordoned with wildflowers. Friends in folding chairs. Coach Harlan officiating in ill-fitting suit. Vows echoed. In sprints and slogs, I choose you. Dad's voice choked walking Jake. Mom dabbing eyes beside Aunt Linda. Tyler showed, uninvited but welcome. His nod from the back row a quiet amends. Reception under string lights, bonfire crackling, dances loose and laughing. Springsteen blasting. Our first spin a clumsy waltz, his head on my shoulder. Best teammate. Post-honeymoon haze, California coast runs. Waves crashing like applause. Reality reasserted. Jake's clinic expanded, hiring a trans PT who brought fresh fire. But funding fights loomed, grants denied for controversial outreach. My team thrived, state titles stacking. But a star hurdler came out mid-season. Backlash brewing from boosters, image problem. I fought boardroom battles. Whistle traded for pleas. Winnings hollow without heart. Allies emerged, Brody surprisingly. Now a dad with a gay son. Lobbying hard. Climax crested that winter. Blizzard whiteout trapping Des Moines. Jake's phone rang midnight. The teen from clinic, spiraling, pills swallowed in despair. We raced through drifts, cruiser lights flashing escort from dad. Now volunteer first responder. Hospital vigil stretched. Fluorescent hum a dirge. Kids stabilizing as dawn grayed windows. Jake held his hand through rails. You're not alone. Me, pacing halls, called Tyler Redemption's test. Get here. Now. He did. Snow-crusted, sitting vigil too. Stories shared in whispers. Kid pulled through, discharge a victory lap. Media sniffed, local news hailing heroes. But trolls online spewing vitriol. Jake's face on screens, mine beside. Love unmasked. Dad fielded calls, shield raised. My sons. Period. Backlash hit. Clinic vandalized, graffiti slurs washed in dawn pink. But support surged, donations flooding, community rallies under rainbow banners. We ran that morning, snowpack track crunching, breaths plumes of defiance. Changed everything, Jake panted, grinning fierce. Again. Humanistic close. Not utopia, but earned grace. Kid joined our runs, hurdles his horizon. Tyler mentored him, full circle. Dad's PFLAG speeches drew crowds. Mom's pride a constant. Years layered. Adoptions talked in hypotheticals, coaching legacies built. On our track, under vast American sky, we sprint still, partners, unbreakable. Love's drama, our endless, vital race. A decade dances past in fleeting strides, but the track remains our compass. Its oval a sacred loop where beginnings and bendings blur. At 35, crow's feet frame our eyes. Jake's from squinting at patient charts, mine from scanning finish lines. But the pull endures, magnetic as youth. Our home now a craftsman bungalow on the city's edge. Porch swing creaking evenings with iced tea and fireflies. The quarry a short drive for anniversaries. Life's not linear. It's a steeplechase. Hurdles cleared, water jumps navigated. Each lap richer for the grit. Drama simmers in legacy now. My program at Lincoln High evolves. Inclusive clinics drawing diverse talent. Rainbows laced into team banners without fanfare. Jake's practice thrives, satellite offices in Ames and Omaha, his TEDx talk on running through shadows viral in queer wellness circles. Views ticking like metronomes, messages pouring. You saved me, Dad, graying at the temples, MC's pride parades, his baritone booming welcomes. Mom beside in sequined vest, their dance a quiet revolution. Yet conflict coils eternal, societal snakes shedding skins. National headlines flare, Supreme Court whispers, state laws tightening like spikes. A client sues Jake's clinic over conversion vibes from a rogue contractor. Headlines twisting, gay doc in culture war. Depositions drag, stress etching Jake's brow. Nights lost to legalese. I pace kitchen tiles, fists clenched. We'll bury this. Allies rally. Tyler, now head coach across town, testifies character. Dad lobbies councilman over coffee. Verdict clears, but toll lingers. Jake's runs turn inward, miles solitary. Betrayals echo, subtler. A former mentee, the kid from that blizzard night now collegian, ghosts us after a grant spat. Funds diverted, accusations flying. You chose politics over people. His email accuses, cutting deep. Jake crumples it, voice hollow. Did we? Doubts resurface, old wounds weeping. We retreat to therapy, couch confessions peeling layers. Fear will fail them, like we feared failing us. Counselors nod. Growth's not linear. Pivot. Romance reignites in embers. To mend, we road trip Route 66 echoes. Chevy humming highways, Springsteen cassette crackling. Stops at diners yield pie and promises. Nights in motels with neon buzz. Bodies rediscovering in slow, sure maps. Grand Canyon rim, vast as our love. Jake traces my palm. Still all in. Wind whips. Deeper than ever. Homeward, resolve steals. We launch a foundation. Track truths. Scholarships for LGBTQ plus youth athletes. First gala packed with faces like ours, once hidden. Climax crests unexpected. Dad's heart attack, mid-parade prep, collapsing in garage mid-toast. Our dash. Monitors beeping Morse, family clusters. Mom's hand in Jake's. Aunt Linda's prayers muttered. Vigil stretches. Dad waking groggy. Missed the floats. Laughter cracks tension. But mirror forces reckoning. Mortality's sprint. Recovery slow. Porch chats deepen. Regret not hugging more. He admits. Eyes on horizon. Jake's reply. Then start now. We do weekly fish fries, stories swapped, his pride our anchor. Healing cascades. The mentee returns. Apology over coffee. Youth's blinders. Grateful still. Tyler's team merges drills with ours. Joint practices forging futures. Foundation blooms, first recipient. A shy hurdler from rural Iowa. Mirroring us, his thank you note. You showed me the lane. Humanistic denouement. No grand finale, but quiet crescendo. At 40, we foster. Two brothers, tracksuits and tempers, filling rooms with chaos and chalk dust. Porch swings host their races. Quarry dips their baptisms. Dad's last fishing trip. Rod's casting tandem. Whispers wisdom. Love's the real metal. Passing peaceful, we run his memorial lap. Crowd joining, steps unified. Years layer gentle. Clinic expansions, coaching nationals, fosters grown to scouts. Jake's hair silvers first, mine chasing. Hands clasped, we lap the track at dawn. Breaths synced eternal. Changed everything. I murmur, golden hour gilding us. His squeeze. And we do it again. Under American expanse, love's story unfolds. Not flawless, but full. A testament to hearts that hurdle hate. Sprint toward light, finish entwined.